Hello and welcome to Awakened Entrepreneur Revolution. In this podcast, you will discover how to co-create success in your business by aligning mind, body, and soul. Tune in each week to hear unconventional ways to build your business by focusing on sales and marketing energetics, mixing the woo and the do to enroll more clients, transform more lives, and create the ripple effect you know you are here to make. The traditional approach hasn't resonated with you because it is not meant for you. You've simply evolved past it. The energy is shifting. Old bro tactics and strategies are not working anymore. And you know there is a more aligned, more authentic, and far more impactful approach for you. Join me, Janine Hauck, the Authentic Sales Coach, and a special guest each week as I discover how they co-created their multi-6 and 7-figure businesses by taking inspired action and cultivating success from the inside out. Let's transcend the traditional together to massively up-level your business and to live your purpose on purpose. Hello and welcome back to Awakened Entrepreneur Revolution. Today's guest is somebody who makes breaking free from old patterns sound as cool as it actually is. Janine Hauck is an energy empowerment coach with a gift for spotting those sneaky subconscious blocks that keep us all stuck. She has mastered the art of clearing out energetic clutter so that you can tap into your full potential and reach new heights. If you know you are meant to live more than the average life, you are in the right place. Yes. Please welcome Janine Hauck. Hi, Janine.
Thank you so much for having me today, Jana.
I love this. Is like this. If biology and chemistry were like my very first love, like way back, that's what I majored in, then like the subconscious and the quantum, and that's like the next love. You know what I mean?
It's so juicy, isn't it? It's like
fascinating.
There's like once it gets your claws in you, there's like this hunger that you like just can't learn enough on.
It's crazy. You should see my YouTube feed.
I can only imagine.
But it's like, you know, and it's so funny. My husband is so patient with me because it's on, like, if I'm curling my hair or if I'm putting on makeup, and it's all, I'm sure to him, it's like the same thing over and over and over. But it's like, oh, they said it differently. Like, I remember when somebody said, you don't get what you want, you get what you expect and what you think you deserve. And I was like, oh, even though I already knew that, that's a different way. That hits deeper because it's like onions. It's like layers of an onion, you know?
Well, and you're not even at the level where you can understand it until you're at that level and you understand it differently. And that's why literally the work is never done. It's that industry that will never go broke. It's that industry that will never end because it's the industry of us, of our being, of who we are, of that satisfaction, fulfillment, growth. And like, you just can't get enough of that. My husband, the same thing. I'm doing my hair. I'm watching a video. And I'm like, if I'm seeing the same message over and over again, either I have not sunk it in and I have not embodied that message, or there's another angle that I get to hear. So rather than being like, I heard this again, I'm like, oh, why am I hearing this again?
Yes. And, you know, I mean, even though I'm a sales coach, it helps to have different ways to explain these things because, you know, I mean, sales brings up a lot of your stuff, right? So it's like I have to talk about some of these things and having things to say, like, if you're not getting high ticket clients, don't forget, you don't get what you want. You get what you expect and what you think you deserve. You know, those kind of things really help me help them because, you know, most anybody needs is reminded of what we already know, you know, but it's like, having these different ways to, so I'm always watching it from like two lenses. It's like the learner, and then like, how can I use this to help people too? You know, do you find that to be the case?
Yeah, money is like so beautiful because it's the most common thing. everybody has money or doesn't have money or has a relationship with money. It's the most common thing ever, but we put so much value on it. And so because we do that, it amplifies anywhere where we feel that we're a gap inside or we're lacking. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with money, but actually ourselves. Like if we're feeling like there's such a lack of money, or money never comes to me, or it's always hard and stuff, there's a good chance there's worthiness stuff going on. And so it's the exact same relationship you're having with money is being amplified into the 3D, into the physical, into a way that you can see so clearly. And it's just mirroring what you're feeling inside, not just with money, but in other areas of your life. Because as you feel it in one way, you're feeling it in other ways. And so it's just showing you, if we look at money as neutral, it's just this amazing tool to show us where we have maybe a gap, where we maybe feel like we're not enough, where there is some lack or some fear playing. And so if we can look at it that way and we can get out of the what it means, what does this mean about me if I don't have it? What does this mean about me if I have lots? What does this mean? Rather than it meaning anything about you, getting to that neutral place and being like, oh, what is this showing me? Isn't that interesting that that is happening again? Because sometimes, you know what, sometimes it has to happen multiple times for you to really wake up and see. So it's not a positive or a negative thing. It's just like, oh, thanks for coming back around so I could really see you this time. Like you said, we have to hear things multiple times, so many times in our humanness, in our distractedness, in our busyness, and even just depending on what level we're at right now or in our journey.
Oh my god, yes. So many different levels, so many different dimensions and layers, right? And so, especially like you could even say like I love money. But it's like, well, let's personify money. Like if you and money were in a relationship, how are you checking in with money? Are you grateful? You know what I mean? Like there's
Is it your booty call? Do you just call it when you really need it? And when you're like, oh yeah, I need a fix. I need a little fix. I'll give it love and attention right now and do the middle of the night text to it. And then we're good again until I need you again.
Yeah. So it's like really, you could easily say on the surface, right? Just like people on the surface will say, I want to find my man. But underneath it all, they think by having somebody else that they're going to lose some of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the kicker. I mean, that's what keeps people from losing the weight. That's what keeps people from finding the guy. That's what keeps people broke is it's not what we think we want. It's what we think we deserve and what we believe we expect. And often it's get layers deep, which is what your work is.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so fascinating because oftentimes it doesn't even come from where you expect it to be coming from. Like, obviously, most of us know that like a lot of the stuff comes from our childhood, or a lot of it comes from this one experience that you had that you didn't give much thought to until 20 years later. You're like, oh my gosh. Like I remember I was like in grade 6 going to the teacher to ask for help from the teacher. And I remember like whispering because I didn't want any of the other kids to hear me asking for help, because what if what I was saying or asking was dumb? And so it was a thing for me to keep my voice quiet, which from what I do now, that would not be helpful. It was a barrier to entry. It was something that I had to grow to be conscious of, to be able to do this work and to be able to have my voice heard. And so if I wouldn't have had that experience, I wouldn't have had that's not the story, but the vision to be able to be like, oh, that moment I can clearly see, to be able to act as a milestone. So it's really about like when we're working in the light, when we're working in impact and we're shining so much light on things, we need to appreciate the shadows that are coming with it, because the light is so bright. The shadows get brighter, or the shadows get more deep and bigger, and it doesn't mean bad.
No, I'm so glad you said that. I just saw a post from somebody yesterday. I think along the lines of the spiritual journey, like there is that like love and light phase. But I think some people get stuck there, and it's not a judgment. It's just, there's a whole, like with light, there's dark, with up, there's down. And we have to not just look at the darkness, but also like love the darkness, because it's part of who we are. And frankly, there's not enoughness that's been in me that really took me to where I am. And so that's okay. Like, and then there's like, thank you. We're good here. You know what I mean? Like, like I don't want to hustle anymore. Like I get, you know what I mean? But like nothing's neither good or bad. Only thinking makes it so. And like really trying to understand that these different layers to this, they're all trying to help you.
It's all different angles and different facets of source. It's all one. It's all divine. It's, if you don't mind me going on a little,
Please.
side story, but I just got back from Egypt about a month ago.
Oh my God. Most people, if you know me at all, you know, like that is like at the top of my list. Do tell.
Okay, so this is my second time going, and went with like a spiritual group of women, activators of light, all of that good stuff. Amazing.
Who did you go with? Or maybe, do you mind saying?
Do you know Karina Stewart?
No.
So she's going next year again. So I'll talk to you about that after. If you're like, this may be the connection you needed. But we went to the Temple of Kamambo. I believe I'm saying that right. And I really resonated with this temple because it's the temple of light and dark. It wasn't just the temple of light and all things good. It also paid homage to Set, which would be, you probably know, I get them confused, but the dark, and a lot of people put it as the negative, kind of like we would the devil now or something like that. But that's what it was in the Egyptian culture. Now, he was represented by the crocodile. And so the interesting thing about this temple, it was the light and the dark, and they actually showed appreciation for him in this space, because what would happen is, when the floods would happen each year on the Nile, they would have warning from the crocodiles coming down the Nile first. And so they would see the crocodiles and they're like, thank you for the information. The flood is coming. Let's prepare for that, because that was their sign every year that that was coming. And so I don't know, I really resonated with that huge, because I know at the beginning of the day, before even going to the temple, I knew it was the temple of light and dark. And I was like, I'll take the light, please. I'll be on that side of the temple. And then I was like, whoa, what a judgment I had about that the light is better. And then to hear that story and to see like, oh man, like if we apply that to our lives, the hardships that we've experienced, the challenges that we've come up against, they were polishing us or pushing us in the right direction or having us discover more about ourselves. And so when I heard that, I'm like, man, I've been like shunning that side, even though I thought I was like embodied in it. But I'm like, no, there was a piece of me that was still shunning that side side was not good. And so now when I can experience it, I can experience it with a whole new appreciation of like, you know what, this isn't, it doesn't mean you're not going to like the feelings. It doesn't mean it's like, oh, now it feels great when something shitty happens, something terrible. Like now it feels wonderful. It's not necessarily that, but now I can have appreciation and love. And by doing that, you're not fighting it so much. You're in the surrender so that you can embody the lesson sooner. So you don't necessarily have to be in that for so long. Yeah, you get to make that choice. You get to have that standard. And yeah, you just get to surrender, because when you're fighting and kicking and screaming, the whole process of it drags out.
That's just it. It's like we don't completely extinguish it, but we just change our relationship with it so it doesn't control the situation, you know? Yeah. And when we're able to really alchemize it in that way, there's so much freedom, because then all of a sudden it really does all happen for you. Yeah. Well, a lot of us say that, and let me be clear, everybody. I said that it all happens for you, but I really want it my way. You know what I mean? But on the back end of that is always the ego. It's really, no, it really does. And if you fully embody that, and it's not easy. And for me, it's a practice, not a perfect. But the more I do, there's so much freedom and peace that no matter what shows up, if I know ultimately it's getting me to where I want to go, then I can't be afraid of it. Mm-hmm. You know?
I see it as a shedding.
Yeah.
When you can do that, you're shedding off layers of maybe your expectations of society, the way things should be done, the way things have to be done, all of those things. It's just shedding these layers off, and you can define it for yourself.
Well, and I love that we're talking about this too. And I want to hear more about your work around this, because, you know, I think sometimes what I thought early on in my spiritual journey was like, well, if it feels bad and if it's not love and light, then I should know better. Like, that's not spiritual. And that's not true. Like, you're still came to have a human experience. You're still in this dualistic place where you have to navigate the light and the dark and the good and the bad and whatever, just not letting it control you. Because what I find with my clients is like, they're so afraid of experiencing failure, or that one day where they're going to be in the van down by the river or whatever, that they actually sabotage the now in fear, in the name of the ego, because they are so afraid of experiencing something later that's not happening now. You know what I mean? So that what ends up, it's kind of like your worst fears will come upon you, because what ends up happening is exactly what you're trying to prevent. And last thing I want to say about it, I've given this a great deal of thought, because I see them get so wound up in this. And that's why I think if you look at a lot of people who've been very successful, a lot of them lost everything. Because once you can kind of do that, then it doesn't control you anymore. And so you can either do that with your own stuff, like you're going to be talking about, or you can have it done to you. But when you can get out from under that, then the sky's the limit.
Yeah. Yeah. As humans, we live in a polar world. Like, if you look at our media, look at how people react to things. It's either like the best thing ever or the world's going to end. And these are the two things that we are looking at. And so that's literally the scope that we're looking at. We're like, either I'm going to have this success and it's going to be incredible and it's going to mean that I'm incredible, or I'm going to lose my home and I'm going to live in a van by the river if I'm lucky. There is no in between. And so one of the things that makes such a huge difference is living in the and, because how many people are so wealthy, and as light leaders and people who work with the woo and the spiritual and all of that, as they're building their business, they're like, I can only make money if I'm a good person. And how many wealthy people are not necessarily good people? There's tons that are, and there's tons that maybe aren't, but it doesn't, that does not equal that.
Right.
And so if we can live in the and of like if I'm scared, or if I have any fear or any doubts, I can't reach this because I need to be pure to be able to be, or whatever the story is that's going on. We can live in the and, like, I can have some fears, I can have some doubts, and I can step forward and still go in the direction. Because I think, like, in that polar thing as well, we got confused at what our purpose is in this world. It's not to reach those big visions. It's not to have the $1 million business and things like that. Yes, that's amazing. And you can have it if you want it, get it, take it, all of that. But the reason you're here is for the experiences you get to have up to that guiding post that you've set for yourself. It's not the end goal. We are here to have the experience. And that means the highs and the lows of all of it, because that's where our growth is.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I find that, I remember feeling that way, like, taking the plunge and starting my business and leaving behind a really successful career. And I was kind of mad at my intuition. And it's like, just because you're following your soul's path doesn't mean it's like, well, you passed the test and now it's rainbows and sunshine from
finally.
But it's the gift that we all want is who we become through the process. And I feel like that gets lost in the shuffle because of the program, because we have programs that tell us otherwise, right? Like, it's in the hustle, it's in the grind, it's in the money, it's in all, but it's not. It just can get lost. Well, what I want to know, like, how did you get into this work? And
so that's the interesting thing. I feel like that's my journey. That's how my spiritual journey evolved, because it wasn't until like last year that I came out of the closet of like doing all this spiritual stuff in the background. I wasn't leading with that. I started as a hairdresser.
Oh, wow.
And
I noticed you have pretty hair.
Why, thank you. As a result of having unruly hair and working with it for my whole life. But so the thing is, I started as a hairdresser and I was guided to like do online. And I was like, well, I'm a hairdresser. I'm going to teach moms how to braid their daughter's hair online. So I had no idea that that was going to lead here. I had no idea the purpose I was being guided to go online because I knew nothing. I was Googling everything like, what do you do with YouTube? What is this email listing people talk about? Like, what? I knew nothing of that. It was a completely new world. And I had no idea why I was being guided to do online. Little did I know there were skills I needed to build up then to be able to be here. And it wasn't like, I went from that to this. I remember I hosted so many summits. And because that was the coach that I first met to guide me in doing this, was she taught you how to do summits. And so with every summit, it was a completely different version. I think I started with like helping moms with daughters, to empowering moms, to empowering women, to like out of the closet into the spiritual world. It was a constant evolution of being like, I didn't quite get it right again. Now I get to shift again. I didn't quite get that right again. Now I have to shift again. And every time to a version that felt more and more authentic to me. And
there's so
along
much.
that way, I still felt like, I failed. I didn't do good enough. This didn't feel good. Like I had that heartbreak along the whole journey. And there were so many times where people are like, if you're not even making money, or if you're not even like seeing the outcomes that you want to see, why are you still going ahead? And I probably should have quit a long time ago. I probably should have, but I'm still here because the calling is so strong that like, hey, there are people who need to hear from you. You're meant to do great things in the world. And I will say, I'm still on a piece of the journey. I don't feel like I have all my pieces in place yet. I don't feel like I've arrived. I have the answers. It's so crystal clear. I'm still discovering so much. I feel like Indiana Jones, and I'm like finding the clues and finding the pieces and putting it together. And I share this because I think we all feel like that. Like I sit down with people who are like in Egypt, there was 6, 7, 8-figure business owners in there. Just these powerful women that I respect so, so much, incredible people. And it didn't matter what level they were at. They were having all the same conversations.
I think you just set so many people free. And I'm just glad that they can hear it from someone besides just me. And that is like this voice of reason around if you're expanding and you're growing and you're evolving, it's always going to feel in flux. It's always going to feel a little uncomfortable. It's always going to feel a little off the mark because you're always challenging yourself, and as creatives and spiritual and all of the things, like the way we're built is, if it did feel like nailed it, got it, it's like next. You know what I mean? And so that's part of it too. And just like being really honest with yourself, because all of those seemingly quote unquote missteps or whatever were steps on the way, and still are steps on the way to the thing. And I don't know where we got it in our mind. I talk about, I'm not a sports person, but I talk about like Michael Jordan missed like 3/4 of his shots. And he's still the best basketball player of all time.
But he tried.
He tried, and that's part of it. He doesn't go around and go, I wish I would have made. It's like, no, that was enough.
Yeah.
And that's just it. Like we have to like give our own self grace around it is enough, and it is taking you where you want to go. And the reason it still feels like it's like, being a business owner is like being the captain of a sailboat. Like you've got a line that you're supposed to follow, but you're always a little left and a little right? Like it's just a little bit here. Sometimes you go, whoop, that was fun, but it's like there isn't just, here we go and go straight to success. And I do believe, and then I'll get off my soapbox, that marketing and some of maybe the earlier coaching people have really painted this picture that's not really real. And then people start to feel like it's them when it's really just the nature of the beast, and that is the trial and the being uncomfortable and not feeling like you might be missing something and content, that is the path.
Yeah. And I love, like, I will say, yes, that's how marketing has been. Sales has been icky. That's something you teach again, like you teach another way. And
there are more ways coming now.
it feels so good knowing that we've seen something that didn't feel authentic, didn't feel right for us. And we're doing the work to change that. We're not being victims to that. We're not being like, oh, it sucks, the world's against me. Like, there are so many people doing this. And I think like that's our responsibility. If the world that you're standing in isn't what you want, isn't what you want to see, it's leading, being the one to lead and being able to be vulnerable and share those pieces that don't feel good.
Yes, I love that. And you mentioned like failing up in the show notes and blazing that trail. But if we're going to blaze that trail, it is going to be a trial and error and a quote unquote failing up. We're on uncharted territory.
Yeah.
So, and frankly, even the charted territory that was charted by one person at one specific point on one particular timeline with a specific set of skills and a certain amount of experience along. You know what I mean? Like, we just can't.
You and I could be on the exact same trail. Say we're on the exact same trail. It would be experienced completely different. There'd be different knowledge because it was specifically you asked to be on that trail. It was specifically me asked. And the reason is our flavor needs to be a part of that recipe. It needs to be part of what maybe the lens that we get to view it from, that we get to learn from. So that's the reason there's so many coaches teaching the same thing, because we're all coming from our voice, and that means something different, and it hits different for each person because we're all individuals and we keep painting ourselves with one brush. Stop it.
Yes. Well, just like I was saying before about like all the different YouTubes that feel like like we need to hear it in different ways from different people. So we're all part of this like beautiful mosaic, and we need all of it in order to really see the whole thing. And here's the other thing, like if you're supposed to be a red tile with blue spots, but you are surrounded by other tiles that are just red, you're going to throw off. Now the freaking mosaic doesn't have a pupil in its eye, because you decided like that you're not going to, that's not.
That's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, I love that so much. Because whatever we see in our environment, we think we should be the same. We think we should match. And that's a defense mechanism. That's something in our subconscious. That is how we survived, by not standing out. But we've literally stepped into a new age. And so it's okay to be seen. It's okay to be heard. It's okay for all of it.
Yes, we have stepped into a new age. And I want to know, like, what do you think, like the frequency of joy, or just in general, like 2025? When do you feel like I feel like even in the last couple of weeks, it's really come on even stronger.
Well, April, I just did a teaching of this, and April, I feel like it's the opening. That's the only way I could explain it. I literally seen like gold, like gates or doors open, and there's slots, and you can choose where to slot yourself in, at what level to slot yourself in. It's no longer like, once I do all of this work, I can put myself in at this level. It's like, no, who do you get to be? Who are you choosing to be? That's the level you get to insert. And that's kind of what we've been taught for a little while now. But the thing is, now that you don't have so much of the resistance, now like April really felt like you just get to go in there with ease. But something that I've been feeling since September is that 2025 is the year of joy. And so the reason why the year of joy is so important, because if you look at the frequency of emotions, joy is the third highest one. And the only two higher than that is enlightenment and peace. How much easier is it to tap into joy than like try to figure out enlightenment and peace?
Totally.
Like, isn't it like such a difference? And joy is higher than love, which for me just felt like, oh my gosh, like love feels like it can be a challenge sometimes, but joy, like no problem. We can tap into joy, that childlike fun, that excitement. Sign me up for more of that.
Absolutely. I think that it's so, and then we do get to like even exercise that inner child, and like really move through some of that too at the same time, because there's just little parts of us that didn't get what they needed. And being in that joy, I think it just aligns all the parts, because we all want that. When you were 4, you didn't want peace necessarily, but joy. I think all versions of us can tap into that. That's so beautiful. I've never thought about it. I love that. Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like things are shifting and there's so much more available. And now it's really, even a lot of the alchemy feels more done.
Hmm.
They were never done. Let me be clear, but like there's just so much elevation in like quantum leaping that can go on now for
Yeah.
those who are doing the work, who are going through this, who are willing to get uncomfortable and to, like we started, change that relationship with the fear,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. The
And
beautiful thing about 2025 being the year of joy, and I do want to say a lot of times people are like, yes, finally, like after so many years of squeeze, it's going to be joy. And I do want to preface that with saying it doesn't mean everything's going to feel good and love and light. That's not necessarily what joy is going to bring you. There is going to be so much of that. But when we're cultivating a year of joy, what it also shows you is where you're not allowing yourself to experience that, where you're putting your to-do list before that or everything else on the list before that. It's going to show you a lot of your shadows. But by using joy as the marker, as the frequency to hold, it shows that to you so much more beautiful. Just like when we were talking before about money, how money does that. Joy does the same thing. And you're expanding into holding that larger space and to be able to looking into what you're doing from a place of creativity and play, because we've taken this human game way too seriously.
way too serious.
Wait, I have to remind myself
Me too.
constantly being like an overachiever, wanting to be like a people pleaser, a perfectionist, like all the things.
Yeah.
Like, relax. I know, worst thing to hear. Relax. Like, we get to play. We get to play. We get to have fun. This gets to be um, a main part of our experience, not just the side thing when we have time.
Yes. And that's just it. Like, you made me think of like, yeah, joy's not always going to be fun, but can you be playful in the times when things maybe aren't as fun? You know what I mean? And just like spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. You know what I mean? Like, and just like navigate it a little more like,
Yeah, and it's about like owning those parts. I know for myself, part of my journey, so many people have been like, "Oh, you're so young, you're so innocent, you're so naive," like all of these things, like these negative connotations to it. And at one point, when I was able to change my perspective with my innocence and realize, man, what a gift! Not everybody can tap into that lightness. Not everybody can hold that lightness and like experience it. And there's such wisdom that comes with that because it's not something everyone can do. And like to be able to shift through the dark and through the shadows, we get to have some humor. We get to have levity. We get to have like just playfulness in there. It doesn't have to be in that polar all or none. Like that gets to help us move through things so much easier. And so we get to own all our pieces, even if, like for me, being innocent, it was almost like, oh, look at that little kid over there. Like those were the feelings it felt within me. And I was like, once I was able to own all the parts of me, that part included, it ended up becoming a big part of my power.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, so much. So much good stuff. I feel like we could just go on and on and on. Well, I want you to, I know you brought a gift for our audience.
Yes.
So please tell them about this.
So to go into the theme of 2025, I wanted to really support people to do this because often what we can do is we can get really rigid in like our day to day. And
Everything
so
we've been talking about.
we've totally been, it's like there's a theme here. And so I want to give people the frequency of joy challenge. And so what it is, it's a 5-day challenge and it gets silly and it gets childlike and it gets all of those things because I want it to be a little bit absurd or a little bit out of what you would do in the normal so that you can shake up the rules that you've made for yourself. So you can really question, well, why did I make that rule that I can't do that? Why can't I go splash in puddles and get a little wet or whatever? Why can't I go do that? And so that's what this challenge is. It's just 5 days of not taking yourself so seriously. And I think a lot of times we don't do that because we're like, if I don't stay on this path, if I don't stay driven and on this list of stuff to do, I'm going to fall behind and end up by the river, right? It's always by the river. And so we can give ourselves the grace of a week. And so that's why on 5 days, it's a week. We can give ourselves permission and see how you feel after that. It's not changing your whole life. It's not changing everything, but you're giving yourself a period of grace so that you can experiment, so you can play. And then you can choose after that, because a lot of times we feel like, if we make this decision, we have to commit to it forever. And what if it doesn't work out? And so let's just take the pressure off, have a little fun, and do the frequency of joy challenge.
Oh, I love that. And what I love how you said, what if it doesn't work out? And it's like, what does that even mean? And people just, I only speak from experience, everybody. Like I understand, because I know how that feels. And I love that you're offering this as like, just do it without attachment. Just play in this for 5 days. So I love it, love it, love it. Everybody go out there, please do yourself a favor. Go against your programming of hustle and work and grind and try something else. Just try it on for size and watch the magic happen, because that's where it is. It's not in the control, in the ego, and in the attachment. It is in the letting go and in the playfulness.
It's okay if it's simple. It's
okay
if it's
simple. Oh, I just got chills. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed having this conversation with you.
This has brought me so much joy. So thank you so much, Jenna.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for listening. And we will see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening. And I have an amazing gift for you. If you're ready to hit those 10K, 20K, 50K months and beyond, I created a next level you meditation so that you can take action and embody your higher self each day to quantum leap your business. Please listen up. Review this podcast, screenshot the review, and share it on social, and tag me, the Authentic Sales Coach, on either Facebook or IG, and I will send you this special gift as a massive thank you.